Hello and welcome to Eat to Treat. I'm Dr. Amaris Williams. I have a PhD in nutrition and I'm an avid foodie and cook. Um, I do live cook along cooking demonstrations every first and third Saturday. The first Saturdays are diabetes friendly recipes. The third Saturdays are hypertension friendly recipes. And they start at 3 p.m. Eastern and they're free and out there for everyone who is interested. Today, no joke, we're making chocolate cake as a diabetes friendly recipe. So April Fools is today, but this is not a joke. We're actually making a delicious chocolate cake that's going to be good for people with diabetes. So let's get started because it's kind of an involved recipe. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my oven on to 350 degrees. So I'll be right back. Okay, I have a helper today, so she's going to turn the oven on to 350 degrees. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cake pan and grease the bottom, then use that to stick some foil to it, and then grease the foil. So I'm just going to use olive oil for everything today. There's no point using different oils. Olive oil works just fine. I've made this recipe 3 times because it's so good. Oh, and I didn't show you the cookbook. Let me show you that. Now, where is it? Oh, here it is. I've got a lot of cookbooks. All right, so this is came from a book called The Sweet Spot by Bill Yossis and Peter Kaminsky. And I made it 3 times, like I said, and I didn't tweak the recipe at all. Like normally I'll tweak the recipe and change some things, but I had no notes on this recipe. So I highly recommend the cookbook and this recipe that's in the book. So I've greased my pan and now I'm going to put my foil in there. And I'm going to leave the extra hanging out, because that'll make it easier to get the cake out, because I'll just have some foil handles that I can just lift up and pull the cake to get the cake out. And then I'll just put some more oil on the foil, and grease it. All right. So now that that's ready, let's set that to the side. The next thing we're going to do is turn on a pot of boiling water, or turn on a pot of water. I've got about 2 inches of water in this pot. I'm not sure if you can see that. And I'm just going to put it on high for now. I've got it on an 8 out of 10. And then I'll get a bowl. And this bowl will float in the water. And that's where I'm going to put my chocolate and my oil. Now, one of the 3 times I made this recipe, I forgot to put the oil in there. And it still came out edible. I actually served it to people and didn't tell them that I forgot to put the oil in it. And they said it was good. So, yeah. So you can omit the oil if you want a lower calorie version. But it's also very good with the oil in it. So that's half a cup of oil. And I'm using olive oil today, like I said. And we're just going to put that in our double boiler. This is called a double boiler when you have something floating in water that is, the water is boiling and the stuff in the thing is cooking at the temperature of boiling water, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. The next thing is 8 ounces of chocolate, 70% cocoa. I'm using this that I got from Aldi. These are individual bars. Each one is 0.88 ounces. So I need 9 of these by my math. That'll put me just under 8 ounces, which is fine. So this recipe does have, despite it not having any flour in it, it does have, what's that called? Carbohydrates, the stuff that we care about. And, but not as much as any other chocolate cake that you would ever have. And so it's still very diabetes friendly. There's only half a cup of sugar in the whole cake, and please don't eat the whole cake. I mean, not in one sitting. You're gonna want to eat the whole cake, but please don't. And then it's got this whatever sugar is in the 70% cocoa chocolate, which is not gonna be too much because it's 70% cocoa. That only leaves 30% for everything else. And that's basically it. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of sugar in an avocado, but an avocado is considered a non-starchy plant food. I think that's 9, isn't it? Oh, no, that's 8. I lost count. All right, that's 9. So let me get all of this out of the way. All right. The next step is we're going to, what is this? Open up our bag of avocados. I'm going to pick the softest of the avocados that I have. They're not all ripe. These are kind of small avocados. I may need 3. What we're going to do is get half a cup of avocado and, sieve it. So I have this metal sieve here, and I'm gonna put my avocado in the metal sieve and then just use the back of a spoon and push it through. And that's just gonna make the texture very fine and smooth. And that's exactly what we want. So, how to prepare an avocado. You take your knife and you put it in the side about halfway in the middle, right? And then rotate it around the knife all the way around till you get back to where you started. And then you can just twist the avocado in half. And now you've got the pit and the meat. So the part that doesn't have the pit in it is easy. You just get your spoon and you scoop out the meat. Put that in your sieve. The part that does have pit in it is a little bit more involved. You have to take your knife and just whack it into the pit. So now you can see that the blade has embedded itself into the pit of the avocado. I will twist my knife. Now the pit is loose and still stuck to the knife. And I'll just pull it off my knife. All right. So we're going to do that with the rest of the avocado. I think I might only need 2, so we'll see. Oh, and my water's boiling, so I'm going to turn it down. So watch your pot of chocolate and stir it. A little bit. It's going to be hot. All right. Good idea. So I'm stirring mine just a little bit because even though we're using hot water to melt the chocolate, it can still overcook if we don't stir it ever so often. So keep an eye on your chocolate while we mash this avocado through the sieve. And hopefully your avocados are riper than mine. I bought these on Thursday and they're still not as ripe as I would have hoped. Yeah, this is kind of hard. All right. So the goal is to have one half a cup of sieved avocado. So I'm gonna do one more. See which one's bigger. I think this one's bigger. All right. So I'm putting my knife in until I feel the pit, and then I'm rotating the avocado around the knife carefully. Obviously, you don't want to cut yourself. Twisting the avocado, taking my knife, whacking it into the pit, twisting the knife and the pit until the pit comes out. Remove the pit and remove the flesh from the skin of the avocado with a spoon. All right. I'm going to turn my water down just a little bit more. Right now I'm at 2.5 out of 10. All right. So let's get this avocado through the sieve. And I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my oven is ready. So let's get this cake in there. Hello, hello. This cake is going to be delicious. I'm glad you're here. All right, so I've got my 1/2 cup measure here, and I'm just going to scrape this avocado off the back of this sieve and see how much we have. All right, yeah, 2 avocados is enough. So we've got 1/2 cup of avocado here. And I'm just going to set that to the side. It's okay if it gets brown because we're going to be mixing chocolate with it. And the chocolate's brown, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to stir my chocolate and oil here. It's almost ready. All right. Next order of business. Let's separate some eggs. So you should have a medium-sized bowl and a large-sized bowl. It doesn't really matter which one you use for which purpose, but one should get the egg whites and one should get the egg yolks. And I will show you how to do that. If you've never done it before, don't worry. I'll show you 2 methods. Both of them are messy because it's just, that's the nature of the beast. All right, so crack your egg on your counter. Make sure it's good and cracked. And then separate it into 2 halves. And then let the yolk stay in 1 half. And then you can pour the yolk into the other half. And pour it back and forth until all the whites have separated. And then dump your yolk in your yolk bowl. Okay, that's one way to do it. If you get any yolk in your egg white bowl, you're gonna have to start over. Because the yolks will ruin the whites, but it's okay if whites are in with the yolks. All right. The second method is you just use your fingers as a sieve, basically. So you basically crack the egg into your hand and let the white fall through your fingers into the bowl, kind of moving the yolk back and forth carefully, not to break it, until, there we go, until the whites are gone. I prefer the pouring it back and forth from shell to shell method. Um, but you do you, whichever you prefer. We just got 2 more eggs to do. Uh-oh. I may have to start over. Let's see if I can salvage this. I think we're good. All right. 3 eggs. 1 more. All right. Success. 4 eggs. All right, so I got another vote for the shell to shell method. It just depends on how slimy you want your fingers to get. I'm gonna turn off my water because my chocolate is melted, but I'm going to leave the bowl in the water because I want it to stay warm for now. Okay. So I've turned off the heat. If you're on one of those spiral electric burners, I would move the pan to a cool burner so that it's off the heat completely. This thing doesn't stay hot very well, so as soon as I turn it off, it's done. All right, the next thing is we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to our yolks. Okay. And then we're also going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar to the whites, but not yet. All right. Don't get excited. Okay. So I'm going to beat the whites first because, like I said, if any yolk at all gets in the whites, it ruins it, and they won't beat up. So you want a clean bowl with clean mixers, and that's what you want to start beating your whites with. I have this crank mixer that I got from IKEA. Works pretty well. And I'm going to start beating the whites until they get foamy, and then we're going to add the 1/4 cup of sugar to the whites, okay? So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so they're good and foamy now. We just broke them down a little bit. So now I'm going to add the 1/4 cup of sugar to the whites. And that's it for the sugar. And I'm gonna beat them up. Oh, and then we also need a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. This is not a critical ingredient, but it will help your cake hold its fluff. That's a scientific term right there. It'll hold its fluff. All right, and so we're gonna beat these until stiff peaks form. My bowl is running away from me. If your bowl is running away from you, just put a trivet under it, like a silicone trivet or one of those things that you use to open a jar that's really stubborn. Put that under your bowl. Okay. Almost there. I'm gonna switch hands. I'm not as good with my left hand. Maybe I should try not to be fancy. All right, almost there. Did I break it? What we're looking for is we want it to stay put when we turn the bowl sideways, and mine is still running a little bit when I turn the bowl, so that's not quite done. If you guys have a hand mixer, oh, there we go. That's good. You guys probably aren't out of breath, but I am a little bit. All right. Are you going for a meringue texture? Yeah, so this, now that we've beaten the whites, this could be a meringue. So you could use this to top a key lime pie. Not that I'm recommending anyone eat a key lime pie. But what we've just made is meringue. The next thing we're going to do is beat the yolks with the sugar until they're kind of pale yellow. Right now they're a mustardy golden yellow. And yes, I do have 2 of these. This one I got at a garage sale for $1, so I'm pretty happy about that. All right, so this won't take nearly as much effort as the whites. We're just going to beat them until they turn pale yellow. All right, so unlike the one that I got from IKEA, this one only has 1 gear, so you really got to crank it. All right, so that's about it there. Now we're going to add our avocado. So 1/2 cup of sieved avocado in the yolks. All right. And beat that together. And finally, our chocolate. So, shouldn't be too hot now. I'm just going to pour a little in there and beat that in. And then pour the rest. It's called tempering. All right, so I'm pouring some in there. Beat it. And then we're going to pour some more. If you have a stand mixer, you can pour it in while you're running the mixer. Oh, this smells so good. Smell the chocolate. The chocolate. All right, and I think I'm to the point where, and I don't actually recommend eating raw eggs, but I do it. So it's just one of those things, you know. All right, so I'm gonna pour the rest of this in there and get it with the spatula. And this motion that I'm doing now, this is called folding. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to fold in the egg whites. Yeah, these hand crank mixers are great because they don't require any electricity. They're pretty easy to clean. This one, the metal one that I got at the garage sale, I actually put that in the dishwasher. So, and they give you a workout, so you actually earn your cake when you make it. So that can be your justification for making the cake. All right. So what I've got here is the whites that we beat, and I'm going to pour half of them into the chocolate. Okay. And then, all right. And then we're going to fold the whites in to the chocolate mixture. And that's just what I'm doing is I'm starting on one side, getting under the mixture, and then folding it over. And that's what I'm doing. That's the motion that I'm doing. And you can also start by like slicing through the middle of your mixture, getting under it, and bringing what's underneath on top. But that's the folding motion. And the reason why we're folding instead of just stirring is we want to keep all those air bubbles that I spent 60 calories putting into these egg whites. And we want to keep them in the mixture. All right, so once you've folded in the first half of the egg whites, fold in the last half. And then yeah, fold in the last half, and then we're just gonna put it in our baking pan and put it in the oven. Now the recipe in the book that I showed you earlier does say that you should put the cake pan in a water bath of hot, like boil some water, like use the water that you use in your double boiler, and put it in a bigger pan, and then put your cake pan inside of that pan and then put it in the oven. I find it doesn't take all of that. You can just, because what they say is put it in the water bath and then bake it for 45 minutes. I find that you can just bake it for 20 minutes and you'll get a comparable result with much less effort and much less likelihood of making a mess in your oven. So I just forego that. But if you want to try that method, by all means, go ahead and you will get a slightly more moist result. But I think that this cake turns out delicious even without going through all that effort. All right, so we folded in our whites. And now it's time to put it in the pan. And we're done, really. I mean, this is the end of the demo. I mean, you guys can stay and ask questions if you have any, but I want to turn the camera off so I can lick these bowls. But all right. Okay. I'm going to even my surface out a little bit so that it's not too high in one area. And then I'm going to put it in the oven. Um, so I'm gonna put this in for 20 minutes. Um, so if you're doing the water bath method, it's 45 minutes. If you're doing the just stick it in the oven method, it's 20 minutes. So I like the 20 minutes because I don't have to wait. Um, the stainless steel bowls that I'm using are, oh, sure. Hand this off to my helper. The stainless steel bowls that I'm using because that's what I have on hand. For the double boiler part of this, where we're melting the chocolate and heating the oil, definitely you want to use a heat-proof bowl. That can be a Pyrex glass bowl or a stainless steel bowl, but whatever you have, like Corningware or whatever, you want to use that when you're heating the chocolate over the boiling water, obviously. But the other bowls, it doesn't really matter what you use, just as long as they hold water, basically. All right. So let's do a quick outro. So your cake should be in the oven at 350 and leave it in there for 20 minutes and then enjoy it. One of the things that you can top this with is fresh fruit. I have some strawberries that I'm going to top mine with. You can also, but keep in mind that adding fruit will increase your blood sugar, and it's already a cake, so just, be a little, what's that word? Restrictive, I guess. That's not the right word. That's not what I'm looking for. But just keep in mind that of your sugar content when you're eating it. And that's about it. So thank you so much for attending. Oh, where should the racks be in the oven? I have mine in the middle of my oven. This recipe, you probably don't want them at the bottom, and you probably don't want them too close to the top. But anywhere in the middle is good. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. It's not going to ruin your cake. Baking, people get a little anxious about baking because it's so easy to mess things up, but it's not rocket science. So as long as you're close enough, it's going to turn out just fine. So, all right. Thanks everyone. And I'll see you next 2 weeks. We'll make another dessert dish. And what I didn't say at the beginning is that we're doing desserts all month this month. And that's because it's my mom's birth month. And so this chocolate cake is for my mom. So I'll see you guys.